Once a week, I run through Lab Code Agents and I pull some of the top questions on there just to better understand what real estate agents are asking. And then I go through them and try to understand some of the responses that we get in the comments. And then obviously I have my own opinion on some of these, but I collect them because I want to see what the temperature is of agents. Sometimes they're just asking general questions, sometimes it's specific, but sometimes we see repetitive questions. And sometimes one question gets a lot of people commenting and disagreeing. And I look for those because that means there's a possible misunderstanding in our industry when it comes to that specific topic. And so every week I go through this, but I don't share this. So I've got 3 questions for you that I pulled from Lab Code Agents that got a lot of engagement and that I also saw some repetitive questions on. So I just made it into one question. So I've got these 3 for you. I'm Tristan. This is Your Daily Real Estate. It's a podcast. It's a show. These questions will help you better understand where we're at and maybe even answer it for you, depending on if you had this question or not. Number 1, why does real estate news really matter? Shouldn't we just be focused on prospecting? Who cares if Compass or Zillow are doing this or that? Now, I summarized that. It was a much longer post in question. And I see this often. And I see this also in the comments where sometimes there's news and then you'll get a comment that says, well, who cares? Go pick up the phone and make a call. Or who cares? Why is this even important? Right? And so to me, it really comes down to one thing, and it's layered too, but just one thing. Think about the consumer. When they're looking at the news from Zillow, Compass, the NAR ruling, all these lawsuits, what's happening here, what's happening there, depending on the state, they're looking at this and trying to understand, what does this actually mean for us? And people aren't stupid. They're going to put that into AI and they're going to ask AI, does this have any ramification for me? And then AI will tell it, yes, it does. Here are the possible ramifications. And so you need to understand what's happening out there just for the mere reason that your client may ask you and they already did the research. And if you say it's not important, well, you're not going to be the agent for them because most people want you as a professional. That word means a lot. It means you actually know what's going on and why things matter in your world. They're not asking you how to go and fix a broken leaky pipe. And does that rule in the city of whatever matter because now all of a sudden we have to conserve water and now I can't water my grass. How do I do it, right? Part of that will probably matter because they'll ask you, hey, who's a good turf guy? But think about your expertise. It's real estate. And you don't pay attention to the real estate news that's local to you. You don't have an explanation for it. There's a lot of information out there and our job is to be able to interpret it for the consumer. When they feel like we have a grasp over that information so that we can simplify it for them and explain to them, yes, this matters and here's how. Yes, this doesn't matter so much and this is the reasoning. It creates confidence in them so they can use us. So yeah, this matters a lot. So don't push the news away. Simplify it. Understand it through AI if you have to. But read it, especially if it pertains to your area. Question number 2. How do you feel about multiple price reductions within a few weeks? This one's more tactical, I think. This one came up a few times in a month because what we're seeing is we're in a market now that's rapidly growing in inventory and we're seeing price reductions happen towards the end of the summer. Part of it is it's cyclical. At the end of the summer, this happens. But also the mortgage rate going up is causing less buyers to go out there and actually purchase. So this is a very pertinent one right now. How do you feel about multiple price reductions within a few weeks? Personally, I feel like, and this is personal, right? And then we'll take a look at a more of an objective one. I feel like it sends a wrong signal because if I'm looking at this as a buyer and I see that they dropped the price on Monday and then, you know what? They dropped the price again on Wednesday by another 5,000 or 10,000. And then Friday, they dropped it again, or maybe the next week they dropped it again to 10,000 more. To me, that screams desperation. And so before you go and just follow the seller wants to do, if that's their crazy plan, explain to them how it looks to the consumer. The consumer follows this and they can track price reductions on Redfin. They can see, hey, price reduction happened last week twice. Price reduction happened the week before that. And then the week before that. Oh, damn, they really need to sell this home. Right now, if I'm looking this more objectively, I would say if they need to do it, they they need to do it, but it's going to send the wrong signal. And maybe it brings in the right buyer. So initially, I would say be careful. Let the sellers know how this is perceived by the consumer. But if it's a necessity, and I've been in some of these where they need to relocate, and they're like, Tristan, I know we just dropped it 15,000, but we're desperate and nothing's happening. Can we just drop it another 20,000? We need to get out ASAP. And they know that I'm doing everything possible to sell this, then we have no choice. So that's what I think about it. What do you think about that one? And the last question that I curated, here we go. How have Friday night open houses work where you live? They've worked amazing. And then I think this one is going to depend on the area. If you're in the middle of nowhere, right, then I don't know that this would work because you don't get enough drive traffic coming through. But if you're in an area where people work 9 to 5 and they're coming home around that time, you better believe that it's going to be like a Sunday where people are driving through, they see the open houses, and before they go to the next place, they're like, why don't we stop by the open house? So it depends on the area. I would suggest if you're in a city, if you're in a suburban area, I would test it out. And don't just test it out one time, test it out probably a few times in different parts of that city, because it'll matter where the traffic is coming in from on a Friday after work. Anyway, those are the 3 questions that I brought for you today. Hopefully they helped you see things a little clearer. And if you think these were interesting, send them to somebody you think may think they're interesting as well. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have an awesome day.